Hello, everyone. We are honored to have our esteemed judge and now entrepreneur, LUDMILA LINS GRILO. Good morning, LUDMILA. How's everything with you today?
Are you okay? Marco Antonio, good morning. Good morning, people from Fio Diário. Professor Paula Marisa, pleasure to see you. My friend Adriles, good to see you again. A hug to the people who are watching Fio Diário. I miss you.
I miss you. Ludi, I'm glad I'm with you. We're talking to you today. Our audience loves it. Whenever you participate here in the morning show, we have more than 11,000 people live, and I wanted to ask first. Ludi, 03/14/2025, 6 years of doomsday investigation, 6 years of madness and EEE persecution, institutional sadism of the STF. Firstly, how do you interpret the significance of this survey being 6 years old? And secondly, what are your predictions for the future, Ludmila?
Marco, you even put it on the Tarja down there, right? The jurist comments on the tragic legacy of the investigation of the end of the world. Me and a bunch of other lawyers, Flavio Morgenstern, who is not a lawyer but is an intellectual who collaborated to write the book Nos. This book was launched in 2020, which was a year after the beginning of the investigation, often perceived as the end of the world. Upon its release, we already had the perception and sentiment that the situation had been ongoing for a considerable length of time. Too far, and it had gone so far that we decided to write a book, and that was the year 2020. Today we are in 2025, and things remain that way. It's a really impressive thing. It is a very tragic period for our justice today, with Alexandre de Moraes in the spotlight, being pressured here by the United States. We're seeing one or the other already starting to win one, right? A little bit of courage to say something. So nowadays we already see another person, one or another teacher who has never said anything, now begins to emerge saying something, but still very discreetly, still stepping on eggshells. See, the thing has been around since 2019. A few books have been written on the subject, a lot of stuff, a lot of interviews, a lot of social media posts have been done, and the thing remains. But I think now we have a light at the end of the tunnel. This light that is coming here, in my opinion, okay, I don't know your opinion, but in my opinion, this light is coming here from the north winds, right? From North America. So isn't the United States going to solve Brazil's problem? In fact, Brazil will solve its problem, but with that little push that comes here from the north winds. So we have the capacity, let's say dwarf capacity, but the instruments to solve the problem, that is the Federal Senate. Only this instrument is defective because the parts are defective. In this case, we had a defective piece called Rodrigo Pacheco, and now we have another defective piece called Alcolombre. So as long as these faulty pieces are occupying the Senate, nothing is going to happen. So unfortunately and shamefully, Brazil needs that little push from its friend, right? From the outside, from Uncle Sam.
Very good.
The teacher.
Paula. Ludi, thank you for coming. Happy to be with you again. It's been a while since I shared the screen with you. My question is the following. I understand that Brazil's problem is really the Brazilians who have to solve it, but there was pressure from the United States for things to get this far. At least some support coming from outside and even within the United States.
People were censored, and then I don't even speak for the dictator here, for the state of things in which the world found itself. So how are you in the States? I wanted you to tell us in detail, how is the freedom of expression agenda there in Uncle Sam's land? What are these changes like, and how can these changes reverberate in other countries, Brazil included? Specifically, what actions or policies are being implemented with regard to this issue?
What's up, Paula? Here, the issue of freedom of expression is being a priority. Trump, he always In all his speeches, he talks about freedom of speech. And Elon Musk, who is that guy who has a lot of visibility, is the most followed account on X currently, right? There's no one bigger than him. So anything this guy says goes viral. And his agenda in relation to freedom of expression is a very strong agenda. In my view, it's as follows. They have this as a priority agenda, and now it's my opinion, okay? I don't know if you'll agree. I believe that since this problem is also a very serious problem, I would say very serious in Europe, look what is happening. For example, in England, the subject was banned there, right? He was arrested. For praying in front of a clinic, I won't mention the name here, right? Abortion clinic, huh? You know what I'm talking about. We know that YouTube still has these little problems where we can't speak the words. So the guy was arrested because he was praying in front of a pregnancy termination clinic. So in Europe, there is a problem related to freedom of expression, also very serious, and which has an influence, right? In the whole world like this, it's like something, it is a leprosy, thus a contagious disease that infects other countries. The United States does not want the world to become that. And in my view, it's in my private view. Brazil will be utilized as a case study to enhance conditions in Europe. Therefore, Europe will adopt strategies from Brazil, a South American nation, as a model. Particularly, they will scrutinize Alexandre de Moraes, aiming at improvements in Europe, illustrating the global interconnectedness, returning to a basic sustainable environment. Allow me to elaborate on my thesis. Alexandre de Moraes is not a prominent leader on the global stage. Indeed, he is far from being a model figure, neither a global leader nor an iconic persona. He is, in essence, a secondary character who gained prominence primarily due to acts of censorship. My perspective suggests that his example, lacking global significance, will be highlighted. To provide Europe with a case in point, that is my thesis, regardless of differing opinions.
Very good. Adrila's Jorge, I have mine. My view is identical to Ludmila's in this regard. Yeah, I think Brazil has become this laboratory, Janja talking fuck, and Elon Musk, I wanted her to talk more. She has to talk fuck, and Trump has to applaud the time they say it goes in, goes under the guys there, appears on his radar, which is what happened. Huh? Musk saw it. Musk wrote about it. Musk has posted several times recently about Alexander, but I fully agree. I think if there is a large-scale laboratory to show the world that it is possible to solve the problem of rampant criminal judicial activism that exists in our Supreme Court, and that this serves as a lesson for other ministers. We have to put several ministers in jail, and we have to reform this institutional apparatus as a whole. But now I just wanted to play for Adrila's why, but I agree with the teacher. Come on, Adrilinho.
There is an excessive courage of the oppressors, of the persecutors, of the executioners, disguised as judges who do not cool down 1 millimeter. We are seeing it. The whole world realizing and seeing that Brazil has become a dictatorship, with possible sanctions for Alexandre de Moraes not being able to set foot in the United States, which is in Europe by the magnificent law. And we continue to see judges, an immense shyness. That's when it's not a total omission from our leaders. In right-hand quotes in Brazil, right? People being arrested, killed in jail, censored, persecuted. Now we will have a demonstration that I think is legitimate, but also with a concept that I think is completely spurious, which is amnesty. And then they take it, there's this concept of amnesty. They say, oh, but amnesty. So because they are confessing that they staged the coup, confessing that they are coup plotters, anti-democratic, that is the impeachment of Alexandre de Moraes. No one talks anymore. No one puts people on the streets to establish a resumption of democracy, pointing to the tyrants that the world is pointing. What do you think, Io? What must be this shyness and this great omission of our political leaders in front of the world that is realizing that Brazil has become a dictatorship, and here it seems that no one realizes or wants to realize. Well, I see two main reasons why our authorities are inert in relation to this.
So what's going on? The first reason is they are afraid. Many are afraid of suffering retaliation. That is, those who are afraid of suffering retaliation and are in positions of authority, in my opinion, are occupying the wrong position. They are the famous one they asked to leave. Those who receive high responsibilities have to, live up to the position they received. It's that phrase, isn't it? AA, from whom much is given, much will be required. So if these people who hold positions of authority and have a way to do something and don't do it because they're afraid, these people should, right? If they had the minimum of decency, the minimum of dignity, they should surrender their positions, because they are not qualified people, they are not suitable people, they are not people cut to exercise. Positions of authority, simple as that. But we know that in practice, that's not what happens, okay? No one gives up. Everyone just stays there, cowardly, hiding and wasting the chance God gave to make some difference in the world. So I think the first thing is this. The first problem is this fear, the fear of suffering retaliation. And the second problem, the big problem I see in all of this, it is in relation to those who have their tails stuck in some way, those who are in debt, those who may eventually be in some dossier, because I doubt it. I doubt that these abusers of power do not have in their hands at least 16 dozen dossiers against these authorities that can do something. So I guess there is, the question of retaliation and the question of possible blackmail, I doubt. I doubt that many people who could be doing something right now are not being blackmailed. And I go beyond this blackmail. It's not just against politicians. I am absolutely sure that there is a journalist or journalists in the plural. I also suffer this kind of blackmail. Some of us already here, right? You can even imagine who they might be. Journalists who, for example, are giving a tip have substantially modified their worldviews, right? What they once said is no longer valid today. They have substantially changed their position. So against these people, I suppose something serious or sometimes not so serious is sometimes a question. It is an issue against honor, but that the person cannot bear it publicly. Things must have been discovered, and these people had to change their position or had to now forcibly had to defend what they do not believe. So there are a number of reasons why these people might be doing this. Everyone has their own reason, and some may be accumulating more than one reason, right? He's a journalist who wears a bra.
Open them, open them.
Terrible reasons to line up, all dreadful.
I wanted to propose an agenda for everyone's comments. Teachers, can you stay with us a bit longer, Ludi?
Yes, I can stay a bit longer.
So, come on, I wanted to put our STF serial crimes block. In the hand goes the Mongoloid vampire. Have you seen Mongoloid vampire? Adril's Mongoloid vampire. Do you have the bold clown face? Let's put Marcel Van Haddam giving a lecture in the gallery of the House of Representatives.
The Supreme Court is Brazil's problem. The biggest problem we face today is precisely the hypertrophy of a court, which thinks it is something else. A court that does not behave as a court should. This National Congress, when dealing with this PRN 0112-1025, actually submits to a business desk created by the Federal Supreme Court to frame Your Excellency President Davi Alcolumbre, the President of the Chamber, Deputy Hugo Mota, and all other parliamentarians, as if we were minors we shouldn't.
We will be here submitting to this toga dictatorship. Nevertheless, we accept, not me, but all parliamentarians representing the leaders of this House who propose such a project. We, when power, submit ourselves to being a sub-power of a hyperpower that is the Federal Supreme Court. Therefore, I ask Your Excellency to reconsider. The statement made to the press, and that tries to put on the agenda one of the numerous requests for impeachment of ministers of the Federal Supreme Court, as they are humiliating Your Excellency. They are humiliating each of the deputies and senators here.
Is that what it is? I believe so. I was having a conversation with him at the coffee shop shortly before he delivered that speech to Congress. That is precisely what I was saying. Professor Alegland. It's as if he took his member out of his toga and urinated throughout the chamber, throughout the federal Senate in a still sadistic, cruel way, laughing, talking, you see? I do it because I can.
He has already made some demonstrations in this regard. Remember that demonstration? Yeah. The game isn't over until it's over. Someone asked him, yes, but when will these inquiries end? And he responded in a similar manner. Oh, they will be gone when you finish. Ha ha ha. Generosity, correct? Giggle, huh? It's quite amusing. The minister indeed, but something gives me the feeling, oh Marco, that these little giggles from the corner of your mouth, right? Like Professor Olavo said, right? It's chuckle. This kind of laugh is a Cuenga argument, right? So as not to use Professor Olavo's word here so as not to scare the viewers there. Well, that kind of Cuenga corner of mouth laugh. I think something tells me that this little smile is no longer present on the ministers' faces, no. The other day, someone even published a photo of Barroso's photo that he took next to Pedro Vaca. Look at Barroso's face. It was like this. His mouth, enough, it was down like this, almost a grimace. The little laugh at the corner of his mouth ended, disappeared from the ministers' faces. So that session in which they were giggling, making pools, aged very badly. About who would be the prime minister to lose the visa to the United States aged very badly, because until then, their pride completely prevented them from seeing that it was in the very near future, and they did not realize it. And now finally the future has arrived. The future has arrived. It's in your mouth, but it's in your mouth to be voted on. At least this law, which is the No Censor on All Shores Act, which is the 100 censors in our territory, which is the law that will prohibit entry into the United States, that is, will cut off the visas of those people who walk around the world censoring others or collaborating in some way in censorship. And we know very well who the inspiring personality was. This law that even appears there in the recitals against, appears there in, let's say, the explanation of reasons, which is the name we call it in Brazil, right? Justification of the law. So now the little corner of mouth laugh has disappeared from these ministers.
Yeah, and that's interesting what Lud said, teacher, because, yeah, look at that. MEDA will leave moderation entirely in the hands of users and will end punishments according to the executive. The company says it will have no influence on community grades, which are scheduled to start now, next Tuesday, March 18th. Do we feel that the Supreme Court's C people are a little nervous about this? Why? Why do you remember Saidi Centro Integrado? He didn't have the fact-checking agencies. Now this over-the-counter market is over too, teacher?
Fact-checking agencies that say in passing were supported with many dollars coming from the taxpayer in the United States, right? All these people were funded with money that came from outside. Checking agencies in social media, right? The social networks. They're taking a new direction now. I read about it in the Washington Post. I think it was mentioned by an obese person, right? They said the newspaper's stance was going to change. What could be more democratic than the people influencing it? A fact-checking organization.
I rely a lot on my Instagram, which I had even stopped using. Now I'm trying to resume the normality of posts on Instagram because I stayed on a shadow bud for 3 years. 3 years. I could post every day. I could do whatever I wanted, plant bananas. And for 3 years, I didn't gain a single follower, a single one. So like that, it's a deal that's kind of impossible to happen. A statement from Mark Zuckerberg saying he would change his position was enough. Zuckerberg is Facebook. I haven't even tried Facebook yet because it was so horrible to work there that I even gave up. But Zuckerberg is responsible for Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. It was enough for him to give the statement, which magically is my profile gained 1,000 followers already like that. Oh, the day after I made a post. So in addition to
all this overt censorship was still hidden censorship. They put the profiles of certain people on 111 Shadow Man there, right? No one else posted us and no one else could see why they changed the algorithm. I suspect, I can't prove it, but I suspect it's this one. That concealment is still in effect here on YouTube.
Because the reach of my channel here on YouTube changed a lot after it was taken down by the STF in 2023. It was in February 2023 that OSTF ordered all my networks to be taken down, and my range was reduced by half, and it has not yet returned to normal. So I suspect that on YouTube this is still in effect, but that will change. And there is that thing about the defenders of democracy who are against the people because the people get in the way of democracy. And it's so emblematic of me to say that. Some people are so stupid they don't get the joke. If people obstructing democracy can only be a joke, it can only be a dictatorship, because democracy by definition, the people cannot obstruct it. So we see in No X these community notes working. And what happens is that professional journalism, in quotation marks, because they are nothing more than a communication consultancy, nowadays is unmasked all the time. It is worth remembering the emblematic case, and I will close my comment on Daniela here. She Lima saying that she had, I don't know, stolen from Jair Bolsonaro's possession the day the federal police went there, and she was denied. So this is the problem. The problem is that the professional media, in quotation marks, is denied by the people with information that they consider from
information disorder, but that does not pass again. Sorry to be repetitive, but I have no other expression to use truths inconvenient to the dictatorship.
It is and it is. I also need to listen to Adril's because look at this Adril's combo. So we have this Van Hatten speech and the situation where teacher Paula commented on the community's grades. It relates to the north winds that Lud mentioned, right? This is part of the north winds. It's a refreshing breeze, but at the same time, things here are pretty crazy, Uncle. Attorney General's office maintains the trial of the accused by coup quotes and also expressed our support. Paulo Gustavinho Gonet, White Naughty, Alexandre de Moraes' continuity in reporting the case at the Federal Supreme Court. So, Adrilis, how do you see this?
It's a bizarre world we live in Brazil, right? It's a counterpoint. Total when? While Instagram, Twitter, and other social networks, social,
they advocate for freedom.
Total, absolute, no, unrestricted. Exactly because freedom does not presuppose the commission of crimes, but crimes are what? Crime is pedophilia, crime is drug trafficking, crime is murder. He understood when Alexander.
De Moraes says that social networks have been taken over by fascists,
pedophiles and Nazis.
He knows what he's saying. It might sound crazy, but he understands what he's saying. He's comparing us.
That makes contest AA to the legitimate
criminal proceedings here.
Brazil contesting the electoral process in which Otse was involved with actors including pedophiles, drug traffickers, and child rapists.
That's it. The level at which these people operate